Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Sean Wilson, Secretary of the Department of Transportation and Development, and today is the second day that we get to make a really outstanding announcement that we at the department and at this governor's administration are very, very proud of. We were successful about a month and a half ago with the help of not just folks at the Department of Transportation, but our entire congressional delegation led by Congressman Richmond to secure $60 million in a fast lane application for an I-10 project. And this is a little different, as we said yesterday. Instead of just looking at a groundbreaking or a ribbon cutting, we are celebrating a success and the success of new transportation policy that the Edwards administration has put in place. And that is an opportunity for us to be multimodal. And it's an opportunity for us to advance a balanced transportation policy for the state of Louisiana, an opportunity to be collaborative, and most importantly, an opportunity to make a case for additional funding. So we are very excited about that. The reception or us receiving this grant is an indication that that policy is working and it's paying dividends right now in a way that's going to impact communities and impact citizens, both private citizens and the corporate neighbors that we have that travel through this corridor on a regular basis by reducing some of the congestion. So I'm excited to stand before you today to represent DOTD, to report to some and acknowledge to others what success we've had and the hard work that we've put in place. And so with that said, I'd like to introduce my boss, who is well on his way to becoming an infrastructure governor to set the stage and put Louisiana on the map in ways that perhaps we've not seen in recent years. So our first speaker is going to be our governor, John Bell Edwards.
Thank you. You all are blessed today. Yesterday we had an announcement similar to this. We were in Lafayette and we were outside. This is pretty nice this morning. I want to thank Sean Wilson, Dr. Wilson, who as Secretary of the Department of Transportation is doing a great job under some difficult circumstances, but he is working very hard to make sure that we deliver on our promises. And as you will recall, this time last year, I said that there's certain things that we could do within the existing budgetary limitations that we have to really prioritize transportation. One of those is to remove the state police from the Transportation Trust Fund, which we did, despite all the difficulties surrounding the budget this year. We did that. That's $60 million right there in gas tax money that will go to transportation infrastructure that was previously going to other purposes. And out of that savings that we realized, we actually doubled the Port Priority Program in my first year, which was a second transportation infrastructure investment pledge that I had made. We also talked about reforming the capital outlay process and dedicating more of those limited dollars to transportation projects that were important to the state and to regions of the state. We have done that as well. And finally, the biggest, I shouldn't say the biggest, but one of the critical components was bringing more of our federal tax dollars back to Louisiana so that we could invest those dollars as well in transportation infrastructure. And that's really what we're here about today. The Federal FAST Act, which was a law passed in Congress, and I want to thank Congressman Richmond here, and I know that Congressman Graves was invited. I hope he will attend because he played a critical role in the passage of this act as well. And then once the act was passed, we had the support of Congressman Richmond, Congressman Graves, and really the entire congressional delegation supporting our application for funding under the FAST Act. But it created grant opportunities. And I want you to know that these are competitive and discretionary. And so you had to put together grant applications to show that you were meeting the letter and the intent of the law, which basically is to free up the movement of freight and commerce along congested highways. Well, the fact of the matter is there is not a better candidate for that sort of funding opportunity than I-10 right here in Baton Rouge. And everybody in this room knows what I'm talking about with the slow movement of vehicular traffic along that corridor. So in an effort to bring these federal tax dollars home and realizing this was an opportunity, Dr. Wilson immediately started putting together an application that would meet all the requirements and that would be a compelling candidate for funding. We also were able to engage the president directly on more than one occasion, the vice president directly on more than one occasion, and the U.S. Department of Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox, again, on more than one occasion, to communicate the real need that we had, and not really just Louisiana. But this is a southern region corridor that is incredibly important to the nation as a whole. And if you think about the amount of traffic that flows on I-10 going east and west, between just New Orleans and Houston, for example, where we have New Orleans that is serviced by 6 Class I railroads. I don't know that there's another city in the country serviced by 6 Class I railroads. Houston is serviced by 2. But the port infrastructure that they have in Houston and the port that we have in New Orleans, but really if you look at all of the ports combined from Baton Rouge south to the mouth of the river, that is the largest port complex in the United States of America. And so we have a tremendous amount of freight moving on I-10. In fact, more than 1/3 of the vehicular traffic out there is moving commerce. So incredibly important for the country. We made our case, and I'll tell you how compelling the case was. All told, the states combined requested more than $10 billion worth of grants when only $800 million was appropriated for the program. And with $800 million being competed for in that way, we were able to get $60 million to improve the I-10 corridor. Now, the fact of the matter is that $60 million was given to us for a grant that's actually going to spend the money on I-10 but over in the Lafayette area between I-49 and the Atchafalaya Basin. But what that did is it allowed us to free up the same amount of money that we were going to spend over there, and now we are able to spend that money in other places. And that's what brings us here today. 20 to 25 million of that is going to be spent constructing a new off-ramp in the vicinity of the Washington Street exit to alleviate that merge problem that is causing so much of the congestion, that bottleneck for the traffic that's moving east across the Mississippi River Bridge. Critically important for this area, not just to move commerce, which is very important, but also for quality of life. Because even if you're not driving an 18-wheeler full of widgets, if you're driving a car with kids on the way to soccer practice or you're on your way to job, the quality of life is very important too. So we're excited about that. And this project is going to advance all of the funding necessary for this new exit is in place. So we have some things that we have to work out and work through, but the good news is the funding is in place. Over in the Atchafalaya area with that $60 million, by the way, we announced yesterday $183 million is going to go to widening that stretch of interstate to 3 lanes and totally reconstructing all of those lanes of traffic. So we're excited about what we're doing. I'm also excited and I know the official announcement came out a couple of days ago, but it just talked about how important it is that we look at multimodal commerce, whether it's airports, ports, whether it's railroads or the interstates. And so we have a new commissioner of multimodal commerce, and he's joined us this week. And he's Tommy Clark, and he is here. And I'd ask Tommy to stand up, and thank you very much for coming, Tommy, and working for the state of Louisiana. So our citizens deserve the economic opportunities that transportation infrastructure brings, but also the quality of life improvements that they bring. And this is something we're going to work on more as we move forward, which is why I appointed a task force to study the transportation infrastructure needs, not just the backlog, but the needs that we have in Louisiana, not just on what might be done within available resources, but what should be done in Louisiana. And then look for opportunities to create revenue streams to make sure that we can fund that. Because the simple fact of the matter, and I've said it, and I know that some people don't like me put it in these terms, but it's obvious that existing revenue sources aren't going to get for us more than we've been getting. And if we wait for the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy to deliver these infrastructure projects, that's never going to happen. And so we're going to have to look at all of the different ways that we can finance transportation infrastructure so that we can do more of this going forward. And if we do that, we're all going to be better off. The job creation, the economic investment, and the development that we're going to have here, not just in South Louisiana, but across the state, it will be greatly improved. The quality of life will be improved as well. And this task force was created by an executive order. It's composed of folks from all over the state of Louisiana in different walks of life, and it is supported by different groups, whether they're economic development organizations or trade organizations and associations or local elected officials, because we really have to move Louisiana forward in this way. And if you think about it, there is nothing that we do as a government that ought to be more bipartisan in nature than transportation infrastructure. And that's the way it has historically been, and I think we can make sure that that's the way it's going to be going forward. Again, this grant application that we're here talking about today was supported by legislators across the state. It was supported by every member of the congressional delegation. So if we can just keep working together, I'm convinced that there's an awful lot that we can do in Louisiana to alleviate that $12 billion backlog and to move our state forward. And with that, I'm going to be followed by Congressman Cedric Richmond, and I want to thank him because I know what a critical role he played, because he and I communicate very regularly about transportation needs and other needs that we have. And in my first meeting with the president, as we discussed this particular problem, he was actually in that meeting as well, lending credence to what I was trying to impart to the president. So I'm going to be followed by Congressman Richmond, but before he takes the microphone, I just want to publicly thank him for his assistance in this, and I'm looking forward to working with him on many other opportunities going forward. Thank you.
And Dr. Wilson, you very well can call him the infrastructure governor, because before he was elected, he was talking to me about, well, before you were sworn in, you were talking about our infrastructure needs. Let me just thank a couple categories of people. Without them, this just absolutely would not have happened. And I'll just give it to you in the order that it comes to mind. But first of all, the President of the United States, who played a very instrumental role, and I'll go into that a little bit later. Second would be Secretary Fox, who has a strong commitment to Louisiana and to infrastructure, and as the Secretary of Transportation. Third would be our governor in conjunction with Dr. Wilson. Fourth, and not a small part, is our legislative delegation from the Baton Rouge area, because part of the process was the buy-in from local legislators and the fact that they went in and did a whole bunch of things during session to show the seriousness of which this administration and this legislature views infrastructure projects, because not only do they ease traffic, they create jobs, and they do a whole bunch of other things that are very important to the community. And last but not least, I will say our congressional delegation, the importance of being together. Now, I'll just tell you how, in my mind, this came together. Before he was sworn in, we talked about the need for infrastructure in Baton Rouge. And since I know the need for infrastructure in Baton Rouge, and I lived in Baton Rouge, and Baton Rouge was kind enough to take me in after Hurricane Katrina, I felt the growing pains. And fast forward to 4 days after the governor was sworn in, the President of the United States came to Baton Rouge. And as we had time to, and I flew down with the President, but as we had a chance to get in the car with the President and go with him to his hotel, it gave us a chance to talk about the transportation needs. And I was able to reiterate, and with a new governor bringing up the same thing that I brought up on the plane without cueing him, it really highlighted how important it was. And at some point, we were passing the interstate where I-10 comes down to one lane, and the governor reached over and said, Mr. President, see, right here is the greatest example of the problem we have. Interstate 10 from California to Florida comes down to one lane right here. And I think that that was a great wake-up call. Now, I would just tell you, I've been in the limo with the president and 2 Louisiana governors. This is the first time a Louisiana governor actually asked for some assistance from the President of the United States. And I think that the president, who served now for almost 8 years, took notice that we were asking for help and we needed help and we deserved help. And he made sure that he instructed the secretary to reach out to us. And I think that Dr. Wilson met with Secretary Fox a number of times. I met with Secretary Fox a number of times. And every time we met with either the secretary, the president, or the vice president, there was one issue, and we had one message, which was the growing pains in Baton Rouge, the importance of the Port of New Orleans, Port of South Louisiana, and the Port of Baton Rouge. We are growing. We are doing a bunch of things right in Louisiana, but because of economic issues, we need help in providing quality of life issues and helping goods get to market around the country. So let me just give you these 3 statistics. And this is from 2014, and things have only gotten a little bit worse. Baton Rouge drivers spend an average of 47 hours a year in traffic. Residents waste nearly 25 gallons of gas sitting in traffic. The total amount of money wasted in gas and traffic jams came to $623 million for Baton Rouge commuters. This is why this issue is so important to us that we put a full court press on, and out of $800 million, we received $60 million of that. And through the FAST Act, Louisiana will probably receive somewhere around $66 million more every year to devote to transportation. And I'll just close with, it's no secret how Louisiana got here in terms of where we are in the budget. But at some point, we have to stop and change the conversation from what we're spending and what we're cutting to what we're investing in and what return are we getting on our investment. This $60 million and every dollar that the governor and the legislature can raise, that we invest in things from transportation to early childhood education, give you a return on your money greater than 9 to 1. If you ever want to balance a budget and put it on stable and sustainable levels, you have to invest in things that are going to give you a great return. And infrastructure is one of those because it creates jobs. It puts money back into the economy. More people start paying taxes. And by the way, we ease the pain of our constituents who have to sit in traffic every day when they could be doing other things with that time, like working or helping kids with homework or volunteering in the community. So thank you all. This is just a small step. And Governor, I just have to say that, we can't say all positive things. We asked for $100 million. We really wanted $100 million. We didn't get what we were asking for, but we got more than everybody else. And I think that that is a testament to not only the hard work of our legislature and our local delegation and our governor, but the fact that we took the time to talk to the administration and show them what we actually needed. And in that sense, I will just tell you as a legislator and someone who served in the state legislature and as a congressman, that elections do have consequences. And this election has had a lot of consequences, from the 250,000 people that now get health care that didn't have it before, and the fact that we are now willing to take back our federal money that we send to the federal government. So when they offer us money, I just hope that the governor will continue to take the money that the federal government is willing to send down here to improve the lives of our citizens. So thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. And, when he brought the vice president to New Orleans and we did a celebration of a Tiger Grant down at the Port of New Orleans, as a follow-up, the FHWA came to Louisiana and did a roundtable. And they did, I think, 13 roundtables around the country, and we were one of those sites because of the congressman. And as a result of that, we asked the question, we said, what's the #1 priority for folks at the port? And this wasn't the staff. These were folks who had invested in doing business. They said to me, and this is the first time I heard this, congestion in Baton Rouge. because the products that they need to send and receive have to travel this corridor, and if they can't get through there in an efficient manner, it's not going to do their business justice. So I appreciate that and validate you for the work that you've done on that. You know, as he mentioned, that we had a lot of support, and we had some local delegation support as well. This is the first time I think I've seen an entire congressional delegation sign on to a letter of request for this, and we're excited about that. But we have some local folks here that we'd like to acknowledge and give an opportunity to say a few words. And I spent many time in the offices of these two ladies talking about the project. So if Senator Dorsey and Representative Smith can come forward and say a few words as this project sits in their district, and we'll recognize the other elected officials we have shortly thereafter.
Good morning. This is the day the Lord has made, and I am happy inside for what's happening in what we call our hood and what we call the bottom. And I'd like to welcome the governor here. He doesn't know it, but my office is here, and so is the congressman's office. But for the last 20 years, since I've been elected for about 24 years. I'm probably the fourth longest serving legislator in the legislature now. But for the last 20 years, I've been working on and off with the Department of Transportation Development and with Sean, because he's been there for a long time. And what was very important to the people that I represent and serve in this area was that Washington Street, or the community, was not cut off from the interstate. And I had that fight a lot. Because many people wanted to close the Washington Street exit and not allow my constituents access to come into this area. The interstate came straight through and divided the community, and then they wanted to cut it off. So I'm happy today, Congressman, and I'm happy today, Governor, and you guys, you probably didn't know it, you weren't even in the legislature then, and you were in there some of the time, but it's a good thing for South Baton Rouge, and it's a good thing for my bottom and my people that we will still have access, and this will alleviate a lot of property. So I want to commend everybody. Although we worked with them, the money did come from the federal government. I'd like to thank everybody and just say my people are happy today, and so am I.
Thank you, Senator. And I too want to express deep thanks to both Congressman Richmond and especially to our governor, who really put forth the effort to make sure that infrastructure was top of mind when he became governor. But this, in fact, to me, is more of an accolade to where I grew up. I grew up a block away from here before the interstate was built. And then when the interstate was built, it was not built to actually look at the growth that Baton Rouge has come to see now. And as we begin to grow, and the conversations that we've had with Dr. Wilson and the folks from DOTD in prior years, we've had some tumultuous conversations about what we were going to do with Interstate 10 coming off of the ramp. And now we do have somewhat of a first start. And I'm hoping that this first start of moving the ramp for Washington Street will assist our people, not only our folks in the top of the bottom, I should say, because that's where I grew up, right by the interstate. And we'll look for other means of being able to make that connection so that we can alleviate that congestion from not only Lafayette to the Chafalaya and to where we are today, but even farther on. This is truly a remarkable situation that we're in right now to be able to get this money. I thank all of you for bringing it to South Baton Rouge. I say historic South Baton Rouge, because that's exactly what it is. And this building, being in this building, this historic building, also is a tribute to what we're doing here in South Baton Rouge. So thank you so very much for all of that.
Thank you. So I'd also like to acknowledge some of the other elected officials that are here that are members of the Transportation Committee. I see Representative Carter, Representative C. Denise Marcel, Senator Barrows here, Representative Edmonds, Representative Jordan is here, and we also have with us Council Lady Wicker. So she's been on the phone quite a bit talking about projects and things in this area, and she too is going to appreciate the work we have. In closing, I'd like to do something that we don't get a chance to do very often, and that is appreciate the hard work and the staff that will make this happen, Governor. And the folks at the department, when we get new leadership, we ask them to do things oftentimes that are a little extraordinary, a little different, and so we have accelerated quite a bit. And today we've got with us, celebrating in this event, the Chief Engineer, Janice Williams. Janice is here, who is responsible for making sure that the project stays on time and that we let it sooner than later. And she keeps us inside the lanes. And then we also have Laura Phillips, who, when we first started this application, Governor, during the transition, we pulled a staff person to lead that effort and consolidate the ideas and the thoughts. And so publicly, I want to acknowledge you and thank you for listening to us and understanding the strategy. And the strategy really is about multimodal transportation, and the success of what we were able to do on I-10 wasn't just because it was the oldest section of I-10, original pavement, but because we were allocating additional dollars to multimodal relief for citizens as a part of your vision for transportation in Louisiana. And so in closing, I just want to share that we are well on our way. We have exceeded the $275 million a year, or this year, investment in 7 months in the Department of Transportation. And on roads for Louisiana. And I'm excited about that and look forward to doing more and capitalizing on every dollar that we have. So with that said, Governor, I think I've concluded our remarks for today, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much.